Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased to have Mark Pomerenke with me here today. Mark has had a number of interesting ventures across the U.S., largely based in small rural hospitality, I believe, and is a very interesting story. I'm excited to have you on the show today, Mark. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Jim. Nice. Awesome to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. So I think we both have Midwestern roots. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
So you were born in Minnesota and I was born in Minnesota. So we got that. And my company that I grew was based in Wisconsin. So
we both were living in Wisconsin when we started living here.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Parallel lives. Okay. And who's been here longer? I've been here about 20 years.
My family originally moved in 1985 to the Phoenix area. So
you win.
Yeah, but then on and off, I've been married 28 years. We've lived back and forth, or we've had homes in both locations for most of those years. So
okay, very cool. I just had my 30th, so I win the anniversary one.
There you go.
Okay. Well, Mark, how do you want to share your story? Do you want to start with how you started, your origin story, of getting into the rural hotel space? Is that
Sure, certainly? Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Basically, like I shared with you before, Tim, I grew up in the hotel business, or in a motel. My parents were motel managers, and we lived at the motel in the manager's apartment, and I ran the front desk and did laundry, and a variety of things. Carried bags for tour buses. And,
at what age?
As well, like 12 to 16, 18, somewhere in that area. Was when I grew up in it, and then
that's about when I started working in our family side business of cleaning office buildings too. So I can kind of relate. Yeah,
I'm not very good at cleaning. Just so you know, it's crazy. Later on, I became a motel manager and things like that. And I think I might be the I don't think I've met any manager that's cleaned less rooms than me. I think I literally in my whole career, I probably cleaned less than 10 rooms. I'm just awful at it. So wow. It's usually when we were shorthanded, my housekeepers would they all rose to the occasion and pitched in to make it happen, and I provided the donuts and the food. And they're like, you know what, you're not any good at this. Just give us some food. So
okay, but you were carrying bags and doing all the other stuff.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. I did a lot of laundry. I folded a lot of sheets because in the hotel business all night long, that's what we did. We did the night audit and we folded sheets. So it was kind of an interesting way to kill time in the middle of the night because we never closed 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So,
okay. And that was in Wisconsin?
That was, the motel was here in Arizona.
Okay.
It's here in Mesa as well, up in Flagstaff. The same ownership group had a property in both locations. So in Flag, we'd run it during the summer, and then in the winter, we were down here in Mesa. So it was kind of it was best of both worlds at that point. So
snowbird within the state.
Kind of, yeah, exactly. Yes. Now I'm a snowbird outside of the state. So
Yeah. Okay. So how did that? So after working in the family business, then what?
Yeah. Then basically didn't ever think I was going to be in the hotel business, but somehow just ended up being in it. And
so you took a hiatus. You went in and did other stuff for a while.
Yeah, I really like the investment world. That's really my thing. I'm kind of neurodivergent, and I'm like Rain Man, so I like numbers and things like that. But
excellent.
Ended up working as eventually back working in a hotel, and was a manager, and did some development for a bigger ownership group where they were doing they had a fair portfolio, and I helped with development and stuff like that. And
what size projects are these? Are these like a couple hundred rooms?
No, typically anywhere from 40 to 100 rooms. That type of thing is where my niche was. But during during working for them, my business partner, or I decided, you know what, I want to work for myself. So I decided I was going to do my own deal, and I was on an 8-hour car drive with my business partner, and we came up where, as we were driving through small towns, we realized no major hotel chain is really focusing on small towns.
Right.
So what we did is we said, well, gee, maybe we should build, and we went and figured out, gee, how big a property? What, I guess, what's the smallest property we could build to make it make sense? And basically, we came up with this idea that maybe a 20-room property would work, and that didn't work. So once I started calculating the numbers, once I got to about 30 rooms, it started to make some sense if we made it kind of a public-private partnership. So after I came up with the idea, the next day I went to a small town in Wisconsin called Brillion, Wisconsin, and kind of presented the idea to them, and they weren't really interested. They were looking for something bigger, and Brillion's a small town. It's probably, I don't know, maybe about 3,000 people, but they have more employees in that town than there are people. A lot of industry.
Right.
So thought it was an ideal spot for having a property or hotel. But the next day, they weren't interested. So the next day I went to Clintonville, Wisconsin, another small town of about 5,000 people, and talked to Lisa, the city manager, and kind of presented the idea of a nice small town hotel. And she loved the idea, and she went and closed her office door and said, listen here, if the mayor finds out about this, that I had hotel developers in my office and you don't build, it's going to break his heart, because his whole goal when he ran for mayor and was being mayor was to bring a motel to town. And so it's kind of a joke, but at the end of the day, they were wonderful to deal with. We put together a financial investment package, and they actually created 100% of my down payment.
Nice.
So they gave me my whole down payment and a standing ovation. The city council did. I walked out the door, or out of the city hall, and I looked at my partner. I said, "Did you see just what happened there? We gave us everything we needed plus a standing ovation."
Right.
I love small town America, and it's crazy. Once that happened, the phone just started ringing off the hook from little towns all over the country saying, "Oh, hey, we heard you're putting one in Clintonville. We're a small town. We've been looking for a hotel to build in our town," and it just kept going nonstop.
So you found a niche. There's a demand. What were sort of the projections on their part? Why were they so excited about it? Was it like 20% more revenue for the town, or any idea what numbers?
Yeah, actually, basically their incentive was every town that I developed in provided a financial package, and most of them were called a TIF, a tax increment financing package, which, unfortunately, Arizona, which I don't understand, they're the only state in the country that doesn't offer that package. So 49 out of the 50 states offer tax increment financing, which is the cities create called a tax increment district, a TID district, that to spur economic growth in an area. And basically the upside is that they get something in their town that they wouldn't normally get without that incentive. Right. And then down the road, after the incentive is paid off, it's a nice tax generator, for the schools and the police and all the services, because they're going to have extra revenue coming in. So how it basically worked is, just to give you an example, let's say you have a vacant property or just a underused property, and it maybe had a value of $100,000. And then let's say after you add a small property or any type of property, let's say it's worth $2 million of taxable revenue. The difference is what the city is able to offer as an incentive, the tax that's generated. So if let's say you're paying $2,000 a year on the taxes, and then you ended up making $52,000 is what it's costing for taxes. The $50,000 a year of growth can be utilized to spur economic development. And it's just a phenomenal tool, and Arizona's really missing out, especially the small towns. Because where we focus on the small towns, you're not going to attract people to these small towns without an incentive. So I would, if I ran for office here in Arizona, that's the first thing I would do.
Is that done at the city level then?
It is. Well, it's on the state level. Basically, every taxing body has a certain allocation, a percentage of their tax districts that can be put into a property or into a district that is able to offer incentives. So
Okay.
so sometimes the cities they're tapped out. They can't do anything. But many cities they're not, and many cities they just don't understand how to do it. So after I kind of became an expert at it, I was able to roll into town and create the incentive and develop the property and put the
Right.
investors together and build the hotel and then furnish the hotel and then eventually franchise put a name national name hotel brand on the property.
Wait,
Uh,
so did you partner with existing brands that already existed?
well, at first when we were in the business, when we learned about it, we were franchisees of different companies. But when we came up with this concept, we went to all the large national hotel brands, and most of them weren't interested in this. They had their niche. They didn't want anything less than say 70 rooms in a property.
Okay. Okay.
So, and again, there's so many towns.
Not that they were against it in theory, just that wasn't consistent with their existing brand.
Correct. It wasn't their model because they made all their money on franchising fees, and again, if you build 30-room property or you build 70 rooms, they're making a lot more money at 70, and it just wasn't worth their time. Where we became vertically integrated, and we had multiple revenue streams or multiple companies that basically produce the product. So we were able to make money on a half a dozen different areas, which then it made sense for us to do it.
Okay, let's talk about those challenges and how you set up these different companies to become vertically integrated.
Yeah, well, it was one of those things when we started, we're like, well, we can't really make a living on a small little hotel to feed everybody. And then we're like, we want to create this brand, but how do we make a living while we do it? And we were looking at it, we're like, construction and development seems like the area. It's something that every one of our properties needs. It's kind of today money. So we were able to generate revenue and create infrastructure that way. So we became a hotel builder. Actually, for several years, we were the second largest hotel builder in the country. We would build,
Wow.
10 to 15
by unit number?
by the number of proproperties. Yeah,
Okay.
not the number of units, but per
Okay.
property. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's fun. That's cool.
Yeah, it was crazy. In my career, which again, I was there for about 10 years before I sold out. I went from 0 hotels to I think 83 hotels when I sold. So
Okay.
so it's
Was that a super wild ride? Was it highs and lows and throughout the whole process?
It absolutely was. As you're startup after startup, it was one of those things where there was many a day we didn't eat. We try to make payroll for keeping the staff fed, but we didn't get fed. So it was several years, and just getting back, and I know Tim, I told you, when I started, I didn't have any money. I literally started with my credit cards. I had built up enough credit on my credit cards to survive 2 years without a paycheck, and I was down to my last $23 of available credit before I hit my first property. So I gave God all the glory. It wasn't me, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So he had his hand on all this.
Awesome.
But again, like I said, started the hotel building company with no experience. I literally didn't know the difference between soffit and fascia when I started in construction, and ended up becoming a very large hotel builder. And now I literally have license to build skyscrapers. It's crazy. So
what was what was the second business you started in this chain of being vertically integrated and bringing everything in house?
Yeah, well, we started. Let's see here. We had the construction company, the development company, the supply company. We had an import company where we'd import products, granite and stuff like that from overseas.
Okay. And those were all based out of necessity?
Yes, they kind of were, and they were profit centers, and just to be able to produce the product at the right price, that's what we were kind of forced.
Okay. Well, when you're working in remote areas and with different volumes than normal projects, I can imagine there's hurdles right and left.
It was, and we got it to the point where we had certain prototypes that we would build, and we got it so fine-tuned. I literally was able to build a hotel from say Nowheresville, whatever, Wisconsin to Nowheresville, Iowa, and I built hotels within $5,000 of each other, the same building. That's how fine-tuned we were. So
Nice.
I literally knew how many sticks were in that building, how much concrete was in there, how many labor hours everything was going to take to build. It was a machine. And the way we were able to lock in and get all those numbers is we kind of created companies within companies. So we would find, let's say, a guy or gal or whatever that had experience in a certain trade, be it electrical or plumbing or things like that, where
Yeah.
they'd kind of create their own company, and we would just basically be their marketing arm for it. And they would just go, we'd say, hey, you're going to the next town and the next town, and this is the prototype you're building. So they didn't have to go out and get the business. We provide the business for them. And at times when I couldn't find those people, I actually would create a company. At one time I started a concrete company, knew nothing about concrete, but decided there was this concrete business that was going out of business. And so we went and bought all their form trucks and all their equipment and said, you know what, we'll figure it out. Well, I'll tell you what, when you do that, you get a lot of people negotiate with you a lot better, because then they're like, this guy's serious. He'll actually just start a company if he can't get the right price. And
Right.
kind of what we did.
Okay. Okay.
We ended up doing that, and it's funny. We ended up actually selling the concrete equipment back to the person that actually came around with us and got our price right, because it was so important that our prices, we'd lock them in, so we knew what we could produce the product from as we went into town. So it wasn't like a guessing game. It was, we knew what we were going to produce, and
Okay.
that's why we just kept on rolling with it. So.
Okay. Mark, so before we get into some of the other companies, give our listeners a little idea of the size of these projects that you're putting in these small towns and how that
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah, most of them were between 30 to 54 rooms is that they were. So, that we built a few bigger ones later, but the early days, that's what it was. Actually,
So
I think 13 properties were the exact same size. So.
Okay. So not like a huge demand per se, like there wasn't like a big event center next door that didn't have housing for these places offhand. So what was the business thesis driving this?
We did have some event centers or some, small little
Okay.
like banquet halls and things like that for weddings and stuff. But it's in
Okay.
all small towns and a lot of small towns, the people, when they graduate there, they leave town and they go to a big city. Well, they still come back for weddings and funerals and
Okay.
seeing the
Events.
family and all that stuff. And not everybody wants to stay with family. They want they want to stay in a motel. So that was part of the leisure aspect for the room generators. But then we looked at towns with some industry. So it might be, there's towns where they're building lawnmowers or they're building, fire trucks or whatever.
Mhm.
Those were the generators. Plus they were out in the middle of nowhere. So people are out just seeing the backcountry and they're like, what's this town? What's this property? And
Yeah. Where can we stop tonight? And they look on a
exactly.
radius and what's
And they're like,
around and
they're like, what's this
sure.
property? And we just really became, we always joke we were going to be the largest hotel brand that nobody knew about because we were all in small markets.
Okay. That's funny. Okay. Uh, well, there's some interesting stuff there too, but we'll go back to locations in a little bit, but let's go back to just sort of the other businesses you created. I mean, one was an aeronautical company. Is that right?
Oh yeah, we had our own jet charter company. How that started is, well, again, when we came up with the dream or the idea, I got in my Ford Taurus and I drove town to town and pitching a dream and basically I'd average about 1,500 miles a week in that Ford Taurus, and it as and basically we were based in a small town. Our corporate was actually at the time was in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, but then we moved to Neenah, which is Appleton area. There's
Okay.
no
So it's
great.
Door County up by Green Bay for our listeners, right?
Yeah, about 20. We're about 20 some miles from Green Bay, from
Okay.
Lambeau Field. So, but just not a lot of commercial flights and things like that. And all the small towns we went to didn't have commercial flights. So
Right.
we basically went from the Ford Taurus and it was enough driving that we were like, for us to grow, we need some aviation. So we ended up like chartering a small little twin engine plane for a while. And I'm like, man, this really works well. We can accomplish a lot more. So we ended up buying that particular plane actually. And then from there, we ended up getting a Citation jet, which would get us a little farther, and then we ended up buying another jet. And we just kept on buying it, obviously for two reasons. One is for the tax standpoint, for the depreciation and stuff. And then we just kept them because it was we didn't want the recapture. So then we just charter them out. So when I sold, we ended up having a couple jets and some other planes and things like that became a air charter company. So
Pretty nice way to fly, isn't it?
oh, it was phenomenal. I literally would drop my kid off at school in Neenah, and would go over to the Appleton Airport where we had our hangar at. And Jeff, my pilot, was there. He'd have the jet out. I'd park my car in the hangar. In 2 minutes, I was in the air, and I was off to Nebraska for a meeting, and then up to North Dakota for a meeting, and I was back home by dinner time, which kind of
pretty slick.
It was really slick. It was the way to grow. And I put, there's several factors that I say of how we grew. Number one is aviation was a big thing. The other thing was small community banks was our huge thing, as well as just some phenomenal talent we had. I was blessed with such great staff as well as vendors and things like that, which kind of was the blessing of the financial crisis, because all the good talent was sitting on the sideline, and I was able to have them come aboard because nobody was building except us. So it's kind of fun.
Right. That's a very unique niche, and it's interesting that you can get that much support and funding from the local governments to really help scale that as quickly. And in the time frame, I don't think we talked about. Maybe can you give our listeners a range of when the project started and ended?
Yeah, we came up with the idea in 07, opened our first property in 08. And
not a strong window for opening up a big endeavor.
No, we were on deal number 6, I think it was Bloomfield, Iowa, when we decided banks aren't lending anymore because of the financial crisis, and so that's kind of, we changed our business model and ended up basically putting investment groups together, because at first it was just going to be Brian, my partner, and me owning all of them, just 50-50, and was go from town to town and own them. Well, that works well when you were able to get 110% financing, but when the credit markets changed, that didn't work out so well. And it actually was a blessing for us, because we were able to scale so much bigger while bringing in private capital from every market that we were in. So it was a machine. Literally, I built a hotel as fast as I think 14 weeks is the fastest I've ever built a hotel.
Wow.
So I remember breaking ground on a property in middle of March, and we were open before end of June. So it was.
How much legwork was done before breaking ground, though, to get into town, make the relationships, get the permits and approval and funding and everything?
Well, that's the other advantage of small towns. You can get things done really, really quick.
Sweet.
I mean, there's been towns like in Iowa that I've been to that I happen to just be driving through to talk with the city and say, oh, exactly what are we going to need here for the building permit and all that. And they're like, oh, we'll just give you one. And I'm like, you'll just give me one? Oh, yeah, no problem. I'm like,
okay, Denise, come in here with the form.
That literally is what happened. I remember going to a particular town, and I said, yeah. They're like, yeah, we'll give you the permit. And I'm like, really? They're like, it's $25, and if you'll give us the $25, we'll give you the permit. And I'm like, you don't need the whole building set? Oh, no. All we care about is some setbacks, and that's all we care. So it looks like on your site plan you have the setbacks. You're good. Everything's good. So I'm like, I gotta try to round up $25 in cash. I had no money on me. I'm going through my car trying to get coins and whatever, bringing in quarters and rolling it. And I came home with a building permit. That's how phenomenal and easy it is in small town America. The nice thing about Tim is small town America is you don't have to put up with any BS. I mean, it's literally one of those things where if they aren't accommodating, I could just get back in my Ford Taurus. I'd drive to another town because there's thousands of them.
Right.
This isn't like where they can't throw any attitude. And they don't. They're just great to deal with, and they literally, there's so much joy when you build something there. What you get, where in
Right.
a big town they really don't care about you.
Yeah, and there's small town pride, right?
Oh yes.
For sure,
Well,
for
you
sure.
know that, Tim, being from Minnesota, in the small towns in the Midwest, they really take a lot of pride in their towns. I mean, they
Right.
they may be in the lower socioeconomic area, but let me tell you, you'll get shunned in those little towns if you don't have your lawn kept up and everything like that. It's just
Right.
it's that type of that pride that they have. Uh,
Right.
they,
Social accountability in the tribe,
It
right?
is. It
Yeah.
literally is. Yeah. And they'll do anything for you, and they're so accommodating. I always also used to say, it's like building and developing a small town is like going in to ask a girl that's never gets asked out. They get so excited, and they're more than willing to accommodate.
Yeah.
So that's bad analogy, but hey, that's what it is.
No, it makes total sense. Very grateful for the value you're providing to the community. That's
Yeah,
great.
absolutely.
Okay, so um, we could dive into the weeds about all the shop talk and stuff, but I'd rather keep a bigger picture again here and talk more about lessons learned from that sort of endeavor and where you're headed now, and what sort of purpose and meaning, because that had its own sort of impact, right? Going around and helping, doing well while doing good in local communities. And that's kind of what I see when people are very successful. Then it's not about the money anymore. It's about having a mission. And I was wondering where you're headed, what sort of purposes are calling you.
Yeah, my like I said, all glory to God. It literally is not. I'm not that smart. I'm very neurodivergent. I'm very off the charts on a few things, but not very well balanced. And I get hyper focused on things with my ADHD or whatever. But I can, um, and that's kind of a blessing and a curse, I guess.
Hmm.
But it's one of those things where right now my goal is obviously I'm at a point where I don't need the money anymore. We're all right, and it's more of kingdom work is for me because faith is really big and for me. So I'm trying to create companies or investments that are kind of kingdom focused. So basically take the profits from the ventures and to be able to support ministries both domestically and globally is kind of my calling now.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Are there particular types of projects or investments or things that have worked out well and some that have not? Any
Yeah.
you can share that might be interesting?
Well, I guess mostly it's a lot of it's like even from like flipping projects and stuff, flipping a real estate deal or something like
Hmm.
that. So take the profits from the flip to utilize and share the kingdom. The other thing I'm working on is again creating or buying businesses. So for instance, I will find somebody that has experience, but they've always wanted to own their own business, where I will kind of guide them and help them own that business, and kind of put a little small, investment group together where we have an operating partner, and they just it's having the confidence and knowing how to go in and do it that are doing it for the kingdom. So
Okay, excellent, excellent. Okay, very cool. So, you already have a lot of legacy plans and impact already, but I still like this new question I like to ask people is, have you done anything in the past year that's changed your life?
have done anything in the last year that's changed my life? Um, hmm. I guess every day, it's like my goal every day is to meet somebody new, and
Okay.
and I guess in the last year I've experienced meeting people that I feel are going to be impactful for my next whatever time frame it's going to be, as well as for the kingdom. So.
Okay. Is that have you always been social in that sense? Gregarious?
I'm Yeah, I kind of am. I don't really have social filters, so I love talking to people. It's kind of my hospitality background.
Mhm.
Literally, my top strength is winning people over or positivity, and I just love to share joy and to just I'm very curious about people and how they tick and what their interests are, and just amazing what happens when you just open up your mouth and start talking to people who you meet. So
Right, for
and who
sure.
they know and whatever. It's just it's a small big world we live in out there. Um,
Amen. That's so true. And most people, over 50% anyway, are introverted, right? And so although they don't mind chatting, and sometimes some of them find it pretty draining to have to engage with other people. But yeah, they're not usually one to strike up the conversation, but they do enjoy it when they get one. So you kind of have to be an icebreaker sometimes.
Yeah, I try to bridge the gap. What I really enjoy doing is getting people together, and at church I volunteer as a greeter. It's my favorite thing. I just love to connect people together and just have community is the big thing, because I think the world, we live in a real isolated. Everybody's tries to be like their island, and they're all just afraid of what other people think. And I guess I really don't care what other people think. Maybe that's part of my mental state or something like that. And I figure I may be placed here to inspire somebody, and that's literally what I'm doing. I'm really trying to help the youth as well. I'm doing mentoring a number of younger people on starting out in business and what it's like. It's not for everybody, that's for sure. You have to be not normal, and that's definitely what I am, not normal. So
Yeah, there's all sorts of challenges, and it's pretty lonely, right? Being an entrepreneur,
it
right? You don't
is.
have a team helping you out and all that.
Yeah.
So that's great that you're doing that as well. Do you have any exciting plans coming up for 2026?
2026. Yeah, I'm trying to think. What am I doing in 2026? Um, Yeah, I haven't even thought about it yet. We're still in 2025. Okay, I'm a procrastinator. Okay, so I don't have plans. I make it up every day. So
Well, it's working out. The shooting from the hip seems to be working out well for you, Mark.
I built a 9-figure company that way. So every day I would take the next day is what I do. Let's just try to get to the next day.
Awesome.
Let's try to see if we can add value in the marketplace the next day. And obviously, there's many days I lost a lot of money, but so I always tell people if they want to learn how to lose a lot of money, just come talk to me, because most likely I've lost money in that area. So
That's a good point. That's something that I've with we both have kids who are in high school and such, and in that they're in that mindset where they definitely want to perform and do well and learn their lessons, get good grades. But if they never fail, they never learn that life is full of failures, and you just keep going and get back up. And the most successful people I know failed a lot.
that would be me right here. I've failed so many times. I think most rooms I go to, I probably have failed the most out of the rooms. And so, but
There you go.
again, you just keep getting up and going to bat. It's like the best baseball players, they strike out a lot more than they win. So
Right.
you can't stop. I tell the young people I mentor, I'm like, you may hit it on deal number 26. It might be deal number 113. You never know. You only fail if you give up. So just keep swinging. You got to
All
stay in the
right.
business. It's not and the kiss of death is to hit it right away. You don't learn from wins. You learn from failure, from the L's. Those are lessons. So
Yep. Yep. Oh, I like that one. The L's are lessons. I love it. Okay. Well, let's end on a reflection question. What do you wish you would have known sooner about building wealth and success earlier in your career?
um what do I wish I would have known sooner? Um oof. I'm trying to think this. You stumped me here. What have I missed sooner? I was gonna say to play it bigger, but I've always played it big. I don't there's only one way I think, and that's big. So I just
Okay.
I don't like
Okay.
playing small.
Okay. Yeah. It's that's particularly when you're starting out of the gate, right? You don't really have anything to lose. You might as well go big.
Right. I think that's what I try to tell most people, because everybody's like afraid. They're like, well, gee, well, why would I, leave that W-2? And I'm like, well, the job's still going to be back there. Don't worry about it. Go for it. And the other thing is, because part of the process of doing something great is you have to fail. Well, fail young. Just keep going at it. The worst thing is that you can fail slow. You want to fail quick.
Yes.
Quick and move on. It's just like, does it have potential here? Great. If it doesn't, cut it. Keep moving on. Don't try to. It's even in a product. If you create a product or anything, you got to make sure that there's a market for it. There's a need and there's a want. If there's not a need or want, and then you might think that you don't like the product, but it really doesn't matter what you think, what the market thinks. And don't try to force a product that the market doesn't want. Give up. Move on. It's like,
right. It's hard when you really like the product, but yeah, you got to move on. Yep. Okay. That also, you reminded me of a good quote. I think it was Michelangelo. I don't know, but it was something to the effect of, the sin is not in aiming too high; it's aiming too low and hitting your mark.
Correct. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. All right. So, Mark, if people would like to connect with you or learn more, where can they go? What should they do?
Well, I'm not on any social media, no LinkedIn, nothing. So the best thing, if they want to reach out, give me a call. My number is 920-312-4444. Again, 920-312-4444. Or they can email me. It's my first and last name at gmail.com. So it's markpomerenke@gmail.com.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. Thank you very much, Mark Pomerenke, for joining me today. Very much appreciate you sharing your insights and story. I might have to have you back on because there's a lot more to talk about.
I'd love to.
Awesome. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Inspired by our guests? Visit phoenixprosperitypodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.